Hello friends, my name is Oshina. Welcome here. I am sharing all of my favorite books that I read in 2025. This is probably my favorite video that I do every year because I love talking about my favorite books. I have categorized them by genre, so I'm going to put timestamps down below if you want to skip around to a certain genre you want to hear about, or just watch the whole thing. Cozy in because it's probably going to be a long video. I can't wait to share all of these books with you. There's a mix of Christian fiction, secular fiction, clean romance, and a few Christmas books too. So really excited to share those with you. So let's get into it. Starting off with Christian fiction and contemporary fiction. The Voice We Find by Nicole Deese. This is the third book in the Fog Harbor trilogy, and I've made several videos about these books. This is the wrap up to the trilogy, and it's by far my favorite book in the trilogy as well, mainly because I felt like every aspect of the story added to the depth of the characters, it added to the meaning and the message behind everything, and her writing was just so elevated in this book. And I loved every character. I loved seeing their journey and the romance and family relationships. There was a bit of like a mystery and so much redemption in this book. Like literally it had so many things packed into it, but she did it so well. I felt like Nicole Deese took her time to build the story. None of it was sped through. None of it was rushed. It was all so intentional. So I can't speak highly enough about this book. I really, truly loved it. And I just think that this is like top quality Christian fiction. You do not have to read them in order. So you could read this one first and go back to the other two books. They just are like companion books. And I think this one is the best one. So yeah, highly recommend this one. And I'm just so excited that I finished this trilogy and I can't wait to see what else Nicole Deese writes. Okay, next up, this is such a random favorite, I feel like. It's Shadowed Witness by Angela Carlile. It's random because I gave the first book 4 stars, and this doesn't feel like a very, like, I don't know, in your face or anything like super special about this book to make it a favorite, but I loved it because it was so bingeable and I was so invested. Something about the way that the author wrote the characters and what was happening to them, I just wanted to know so bad, and I was very, very invested. I loved the writing, I loved the characters again, and the plot. Like, it was all very interesting to me, and I just have very fond memories of this book. When I think about it, it feels like a favorite, but I wouldn't say that this is like something everyone would love. I feel like people could think it's kind of basic, but like I said, for some reason it just worked for me and it feels like a favorite, and I'm really glad that I have this book. And honestly, I'd even reread it. Like, there's just something, it's like romantic suspense and slow burn romance and like interesting mystery, and I just really liked the characters. I liked who we were following, so it just worked for me and it feels like a favorite. So I'd recommend it. It is technically the second book in a trilogy, I'm not sure, actually trilogy I think, and you kind of should read them in order. The first book is 4 stars. I thought it was one of those basic kind of stories. Like, her writing style felt the same, but in this book it worked because of what we were following. The first book, I won't get into it, but anyways, just saying, you kind of should read the first book first, just because you follow characters in the second book that you met in the first book, rehash a little bit in this book. So anyways, but still, this is a favorite, and so if you want to read through the first one and get to this one, I do think that this is pretty great, and it made me want to follow this author now and see what other books she comes out with, because I really like this book. So there you go, favorite. Another Christian fiction favorite is The House on Foster Hill by Jaime Jo Wright. This is my first 5-star book by her, and it feels like a favorite just because I haven't given any of her books 5 stars yet, and I have fond memories thinking back on this book. It was a bit of a slow start, and if I was like really being specific, it's not a full 5 stars. It's like a 4.75 if I was going to be specific, but I'm not. I gave it 5 stars because overall it is a 5-star experience for me. The audiobook was really well done, so I did tandem read it with the audiobook, and it just added to the experience because it was kind of spooky. And the key for me to like dual timeline, which is what this is, I have to like both timelines. If there's one that is just slightly more boring, or I don't like a certain character or something, I just don't like the book, because half of the book is this timeline that I don't care about. But for this one, I really liked both timelines. I felt like they built on each other so well, because you are trying to figure out this mystery that started in like the earlier timeline and then is like continuing and concluding in the second timeline, and the mystery that we're following was just interesting and well done to me. It's just like, you know, family drama and different things like that, but it was just intriguing, and I liked the way that it was written, and I liked the characters, and I liked the romance in both timelines. Also have romance, and I liked both guys. I liked that, how it played out, so it just worked for me. I really like this one, and I'm hoping to find more books by Jaime Jo Wright that I could give 5 stars and love, but so far this is the only one that I've really liked. So I'm hoping to keep reading from her, but yeah, I'd recommend this one. I think it's one of her earlier published books. It is slightly spooky, but nothing like too crazy, so I would recommend it. If you haven't read this author before, this would be a great place to start, because I actually really love this book compared to some of her other ones that I've read. Okay, now we come to the Timeless series, and I'm going to include Every Hour Until Then, which is book 5. It's kind of hard to keep track of all of the book numbers now because there's so many books, but I read book 3, 4, and 5 in 2025, and book 5 is definitely my favorite. So this is very similar to The House on Foster Hill, where I loved both timelines. I liked the romance in both. I liked the mystery in both. And this one in particular followed actually one mystery in both that, how do I explain it? So, okay, you know from the back that the earlier timeline is 1888, and then the earlier? Wait, did that make sense? The latest timeline? The one closer to our time is 1938. So they're only 50 years apart. And so that added a really interesting aspect. And I loved the way she played with time in that way, and the characters in both timelines, even though like it's all one. I don't know. I'm trying to explain it, but I'm just saying I really liked the storyline. I don't actually like, so it follows around Jack the Ripper. It follows that kind of lore, or I don't even know if it was a true story, but anyways, I don't have any interest in that. However, the way she played with it in this book, she pulled all of the most interesting aspects, I think, of it, and made it so interesting where we were invested because one of his victims was someone that we kind of cared about, and so we wanted to know, like, how is this going to work out? How is she going to save her sister? And it just like was so well written. Plus, the characters in both timelines, I felt like she added to the depth of the message and the characters' growth. It just really worked. Both timelines like really worked well together. And I loved the ending and just like everything about this book. I really liked it. Audiobook is great and highly, highly recommend. So I did give Across the Ages 5 stars as well. But unfortunately, because I read this one semi soon after Across the Ages, I kind of barely remember Across the Ages, and it doesn't stand out as a favorite, even though I gave it 5 stars at the time, because it was my first 5-star of the series, so it should stand out, and I can still remember it, but it's not as good as this one, in my opinion. I think Every Hour Until Then is a stronger book than Across the Ages, mainly maybe because of the ending. I felt like the ending in Across the Ages was like fine, whereas this one I really liked, so I don't know. But there you go. This is definitely the favorite in the series so far, and I'm so excited to keep reading the series, so very excited. Okay, last Christian fiction favorite is A Light on the Hill by Connilyn Cossette. I really loved this book. This is definitely my favorite of this author so far. I've read, I think, just one other book by her, but this one is definitely really, really good. And it starts a 4-book series, so I'm excited to keep reading. But this one, you don't follow any biblical characters, but you do follow, I guess, like the Israelites and what happened to them after the events of Jericho. So if you know the story of Jericho in the Bible, you're following the Israelites after that. And you follow this one girl who has been through a lot and has some trauma and some scars, and she's just trying to get by, but she kind of goes through like an arranged marriage, and just watching her grow in herself, grow in her faith, and also the growth of the relationship. I felt like the romance, it was just so perfectly slow burn. Slow burn romance is truly the best when it's done well, and this one was done really well. I was so invested in the characters beyond even just the romance, but I wanted to see how they grew in themselves and how they learned to work together. And there were a lot of side characters in this book, but each one played a very important role for the main character, and I loved that. And it definitely like introduced other characters that we follow in the next books really well, to the point where I definitely want to read all the books in this series. I loved the writing style, and I thought that the relationship was very well done, super cute. The little like last third of this book, it's a bit slow. So this is another one where it's like kind of a 4.5 or 4.75, but it still stands out as a favorite because of that first chunk. I was so invested, and even though like the last little bit was slow, I was invested enough that I kept going, and it still stood out as a 5-star and all of that. But yeah, highly recommend this, and I am very excited to keep reading. So that is it for Christian fiction. Let's go on to just clean romance secular fiction next. Okay, Cassandra, you're gonna like this. You guys, this book, I think we read it twice this year, or I did. Cassandra's read it like 3 times. I can't say it's my all-time favorite book of the year, but it is very close, and it is Edenbrooke by Julianne Donaldson. This book is pure romance, banter, Regency style. Like if you like Pride and Prejudice, this is the best like alternative that you could ever read. Like the epic love from Pride and Prejudice is Edenbrooke, because again, slow burn. The romance is so cute because the banter is top notch. It's so funny, and the way that the characters become friends, it was so wholesome. Like everything about it was funny, wholesome, like interesting. I just wanted to watch this girl go about her day-to-day life and see how she discovers like true love. And it was amazing. Like truly, this book, if you like romance and if you like historical, this is one of the best books ever. Okay, I don't know how accurate it is, and yeah, it can be kind of cheesy, but in the best way, and I loved it. So this book, it's just so good. I can't even speak highly enough of it. Love this book. All-time favorite, for sure, all-time favorite, and favorite of the year, for sure. Back to modern times. That's the only like just clean secular fiction romance that I read. So next one is Everything's Coming Up Rosie by Courtney Walsh. I have talked about this book kind of a lot recently because this is also close to an all-time favorite and definitely of all time, because everything was perfect. I felt like the setup of the characters, the setup of the story, the banter, the growth of the relationship, the slow burn, the cute, adorable moments, but also the deep message of life and the ending and the progression. Like truly everything was so perfectly paced, perfectly balanced. The only thing it didn't have was like straight up faith content, and yet I felt like it wasn't lacking it. And I don't know how to say this well, but like there's some books where if it had faith content, it would make it really good. This one was good without it, which is surprising. I love this book, all-time favorite, for sure would read again. I don't know why I loved this so much, but like I just said, like it just had every perfect balance of what I love in contemporary romance. I felt like some of the romance aspects and the dialogue was unique, and I hadn't read it before, so that's also what stood out to me. And I was just very impressed. So good on you, Courtney Walsh. I definitely want to follow her like traditionally published books, because this is the first book that I like truly loved, like all-time favorite by this author. So now I want to definitely keep watching what she does in the future. Okay, the rest of my favorites are all summer themed, beach themed, but they're favorites. So next up is Beauty and the Beach by Gracie Ruth Mitchell. This was already in my favorite rom-coms of the year, but it did make it into my top favorites of the year too, because this is a perfect summer vacation beach read romance, because it's funny, it's fast-paced, it's interesting, it has a fun trope, and the characters' dynamics, it was just so funny that I just like felt like I was reading it and watching a rom-com. It was very visual, like the imagery was really good, and I love this book. So yeah, it's set on a island, it's marriage of convenience, it is kind of enemies to lovers, it's childhood best friends to lovers, it's brother's best friend. So many great tropes that I love, and it's great. It's really, really great. And the characters are so funny. There are pranks, but they don't go out of hand. Like they're funny pranks, and they both prank each other, and it's in a funny way. So it just all worked, and I ate this up. I loved it. So it definitely stands out as a favorite of the year. Okay, in that same like companion series is Rebel Summer by Cindy Steele. I love Cindy Steele. I love her writing. I love the way she writes romance, because I feel like she writes character depth really well, even though it's a rom-com. Like, there's actual depth, and I will say depth in Beauty and the Beach too. Like, I would actually say trigger warning in Beauty and the Beach for death of a sibling, and then for Rebel Summer there's trigger warnings for like attempted assault. So even though those things like are sad, they do add that depth to the characters where they have to work through those emotions, and the way that she had those characters work through it and how the romance grew and the relationship grew because of it was so well done. This is also kind of like, it's childhood friends, it is a bit of enemies to lovers, it's forced proximity, and it's so cute. So highly recommend this one. I loved it. And I just love that there's no language and there's only kissing, and there's tension, but it's not like sexual, if that makes sense. Like, it's more so emotional tension, I guess, and physical tension, but not sexual, like I said. So
physical, but not sexual?
Yeah, like they want to kiss each other and they like each other and they're attracted to each other, but it's not like I want to jump him, you know? Okay, I've also talked about this book kind of a lot, The Summer of You and Me by Denise Hunter. I don't think that everyone would like this book. I don't think it's a top recommendation from me to you, but it's a favorite of mine. So I'm sharing it now. I was so invested in this storyline. The way that Denise Hunter wrote this book, I actually loved it. And it felt like a real life story, even though sure it's not realistic, but I can't explain. I really liked the way that the characters spoke to each other and how it was also slow burn, and the raw emotions, they felt so real and accurate, which I really liked. And there's family drama. The romance is so sweet, and just it's not an easy romance. There's complicated stuff going on that the characters have to work through. It is childhood friends, it's brothers, no, it's husband's brother, which again, there's the kind of red flag, but the husband passes away and he's been dead for 5 years, and so his brother is now helping his wife, the brother's wife. See, this is confusing, but anyways, I thought it was so well done. And there's a mystery they're following, and the families are dramatic, and I loved it. I really loved it. So it's an all-time favorite, and I bought this on Book Outlet because I was like, I want to own this book because I actually loved it. What can I say? Sometimes my taste is strange, but there you go. Okay, last clean summer romance that I actually forget if there's faith content. There might be, but it doesn't stand out, so I won't talk about it. And also, I forgot to talk about this book in my favorite rom-coms video. So here we go. Her Summer Refuge by Gabrielle Meyer. Gabrielle Meyer writes a few love-inspired books, and this is one of those. And so it's like a shorter book. It's like less than 300 pages for sure. But it was so engaging. I was invested from the beginning. It's one of those like quick rom-coms, I guess I would say. I wouldn't say that it's comedy though. It's more so just romance, contemporary romance, where like right away, chapter 1, this girl is pregnant. She is driving in this cabin, I think in the pouring rain, maybe it is, or maybe it starts in winter, but then it goes through summer. I kind of forget, but she comes up to this cabin and there's a guy in it. And she's like, oh, I was looking for a place to stay. And he's like, you can't stay here. But she's like, I have nowhere else to go. Her car breaks down, so he lets her stay. And they are childhood friends because she's back in her small little town and she has nowhere else to stay, so she stays with him in his cabin. So forced proximity, and he's like helping her because she's pregnant, and she tells her story and all the things. She's kind of like the prodigal daughter coming home. But the tension in this book, and maybe there is faith content, I'm kind of forgetting, but anyways, I was just very invested. I thought it was really well written, and I liked the characters. I felt like the book was, I guess, kind of slice of life. Like, it was kind of a slower plot, but I just found every scene so compelling because it like drove the characters together at times. And again, some of the like issues they had to talk through felt so real that it was very realistic, and I liked that. And then yeah, the setting was really great as well. Like, it's set on this cabin on a lake and it's beautiful, and I really liked it. So that's definitely a favorite. It does stand out, and I forget about it just because I read it so close in amongst all these other summer books that they do all kind of blend together. But then as soon as I saw her Summer Romance or Summer Refuge, I was like, oh yeah, that's a great book. I want to talk about it. So there you go. done with like clean romance. Now let's do fantasy sci-fi. I've got 2 of those to talk about. Okay, first up, Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. This is so good. Like, if you like The Hunger Games, I think you will like / love this book, because she wrote it. It felt nostalgic like the first Hunger Games. And I have seen some people say like it's just a rehash of the Hunger Games, so it's like not like, I don't know, as good. But I disagree, because first of all, it's set before Hunger Games and it follows Haymitch. And Haymitch, I feel like the way she built up his character and showed his backstory, it was so brilliant the way she connected it with the original trilogy. And it didn't feel like it was just fan service. It actually felt like it was meant to add to the world, add to the lore, and to Haymitch's character. And Haymitch is definitely a loved character from the original trilogy, so it was so nice to read his story, and I thought it was so well done. Everything was so interesting. I loved his Hunger Games. I loved all the side characters we got to meet, and the way that we also saw more aspects of President Snow, because I did not like the President Snow book. What is it called? Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Boring. First of all, 100% boring. Second of all, who would want to follow President Snow as a main character? Again, not what I want to be doing. But him in Sunrise on the Reaping, his character, it made him even more evil and spooky and the worst, and such a good villain. Like, that would have been a better villain origin story. Like, just have him in this book and that's fine. We didn't need his own book, or at least make his book more interesting. I don't know. But Haymitch's new book, like, it was so good. And I think the movie is going to be brilliant. And yeah, I loved this book. I thought it was really, really good and loved it. So if you like Hunger Games, definitely check it out. Okay, and lastly, for fantasy, I'm talking about The Blood Traitor by Lynette Noni. This is the 3rd book in the Prison Healer trilogy. I gave The Prison Healer and The Gilded Cage 4 stars, but Blood Traitor is definitely 5 stars. It all came together in this book, and I loved it. Again, slow burn. I love the found family. There's kind of a quest that they're going on, and it really opens up the world. Like, there is a map, and so you can follow like all the different places that they go to. I really liked the ending because the way that the magic was resolved, I guess I'll say, like, it felt like there was kind of a good versus evil ending, and good won, which is always the ending we want to see. And I felt like out of everything for fantasy, this was such a great ending, and I really liked that it stayed fully closed door. This book really showcased how the author had to plant seeds in the first book to make things that like were revealed in this book make sense. So it was very well done. She clearly like had kind of a plot structure for all 3 books before she started. She would have had to, because there's no way that like some of the reveals that like it all lined up from what you saw in book 1, but there was no inkling in book 1 that any reveals in this book would have happened. So it was just so fascinating. I loved like seeing it all play out, and I was like very entertained, fled through this, loved it. So definitely favorite. Okay, and 2 Christmas books to finish out our favorites of the years. You guys, these Christmas books, I'm so glad we're ending on these. First favorite, and actually they're both by the same author, so go you. Martha Keyes, Acting Mary. This is one of the best like cheesy fake dating books set at Christmas that you would want to read. It's a pretty good fake dating story, because it kind of starts out with forced proximity, you could say, or like chance meeting, because she ends up buying his house and his mail keeps going to her house, or to her, yeah, to his previous house and to her new house. And so she gets his number, I think from the realtor somehow or whatever. She has his number. She's like, hey, your mail is here. Come and get it. And he's like, okay. And then stuff goes from there. Like, that's how they meet. They are chatting. Like, it's kind of, I don't know, September, October time. And then we get into December, and she has this group of friends that they've always done a girls' trip over Christmas, but now all the other girls are in relationships except her. So she feels funky about that, and there's a little bit of friend drama that I think actually added like a nice aspect to the book. And as she's getting to know this guy that she bought the house from, she like, it just all works out that he ends up going as her fake boyfriend to this cabin for Christmas, and I loved it. I loved it. It was very entertaining and cute, and this is like just one of my favorite like cheesy Christmas fake dating stories. I don't think it tops Faking Christmas by Cindy Steele, but it's probably top 2 because Faking Christmas is just the best though. Where is it? I think it's already packed.
Which one's Faking Christmas again? Where she pretends to like Christmas, but she hates it because that guy is there.
She goes to they're teachers. She goes to the resort.
Oh, that one.
And it says,
yeah. Different one.
I've already been packing, so it could be gone somewhere. But anyways, favorite. Okay, and then the other Martha Keyes book is Solo for the Season. I loved this book. This is so festive and Christmassy because you're snowed in at a little like Christmas cabin resort place, and the romance in this one was so sweet because it's like school friends to lovers, I guess. And I just loved the characters, I think, and the setting, and really the guy character. He was such a golden retriever, sweet, handy man, and I loved it. So yeah, this stands out as a favorite too. This feels like it's top 3 Christmas now. I don't even know. There's some good Christmas books out there, and I really love this book. So this is definitely a favorite of 2025. And there we go. I think I got everything. So yeah, those are all my favorite books that I read in 2025. Some of them were new releases, some of them were backlist, and it was a great reading year overall. However, it was actually really easy to pick these favorites because I also had a lot of like middle of the road / didn't like books. So we're gonna try to turn that around in 2026 and just read some great fiction. I'm looking for Christian fiction that is really good because these Christian fictions on this list like are really, really good, and I want to keep reading books like that. And then some of these rom-coms are great too. And then yeah, the few fantasy, like there we go. So so I'm gonna write all these books down below, and if I have any reading vlogs, if you like care to see like more thoughts that I had while I was reading these books, I'll link those below too under each book title. If I have a corresponding video, I'll link it. And I'm really excited to move on to 2026 and see what my favorites will be next year. Thank you for watching this video, you guys. Please let me know if you want to do maybe top 2 favorites of 2025. Let me know your top Christian fiction book if you read any, and your top secular fiction book if you read any. And we would love to hear what yours are in the comments. And that's everything, guys. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one. And I don't know exactly if you're going to see me before the new year, so happy new year just in case. I might. We'll see. I'm slowly getting back into filming. I took the whole week of Christmas off for filming and stuff, and it is Sunday the 28th now, so I still have a lot of catching up to do because I didn't do any filming. I was just doing Christmas. So this is the first video back, so I'm really excited to film some more, but we're losing light, guys, so I need to plan better because there's not enough light in the day, and it's Christmas and it's dark. So have a great day, you guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.
What did you look at?
You saw me look. It looked like there was like a black mark on the sleeve. That is maybe a bug.
And you're saying it's strange because she dates the brother?
Yeah, like a lot of people, not a lot of people, but I've seen reviews of like,
how could she?
How could she? It's really weird that she went with her husband's brother.
It's not that weird because it's like
and that
you
both
have the grief.
I know that's the thing. They bonded over the grief.
Yeah.
And he always loved her, but his brother was more charismatic than he was, and he wasn't like assertive. Plus he was younger. He's younger than her. So all of those things, he's like, I'm not gonna intervene. So she was swept off her feet by this guy, but she also always got along with the brother. And so, yeah, it just all worked out. Okay. But it wasn't, I don't know. Wait. Huh?
I see me. On the wall.
Okay. It's so dark.
I'll shine a light on you.
I don't know if the screens of the computer would make any difference. Can you like turn on that light? I don't know.
Probably would make a bit of a difference.
Yeah, it made like just a little slight difference. It's better than nothing.
11. Can you put this closer?
Well, I don't want it to like beam on me. Like I feel like it'll be too harsh if I put it closer, but
That's better.
Okay.
Pretty sure I read that book once a year for the last 3 years.
Nice. Well,
Because
we
I
own
like
so
it
we
so
can always
much.
watch it or read it. Okay, last Christian fiction, and this one's so good. So it's A Light on the Hill by Connilyn Cossette. This is the only like biblical kind of set historical fiction that I read or that I gave 5 stars, and that was a favorite. And restart. It's gonna take me a couple takes to warm up.
Are we gonna watch Stranger Things from the beginning?
I feel like we could skip season 1.
Okay. I agree.
Okay.